All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of Geek Vibes Interview brought to you by Geek Vibes Nation. I'm your host, Don Fisher, and today I have with me a man of many talents. He's an actor, he produces, and he even keeps a few bars handy when the beat drops. You've seen him on Bella and the Bulldogs on Nickelodeon, Snowfall on FX, and of course as Pedro Peña in Shazam. Here to talk about the upcoming Shazam sequel, Shazam Fury of the Gods, I'm pleased to welcome Jovan Armand.
Hey, what's
What
up, bro? Appreciate you.
You doing good, man?
Yeah, chilling.
So y'all had the premiere last night, right?
Yeah. Yesterday, it was a full day. I woke up like 8 a.m. and then my day didn't stop.
Yeah, I recently did some stuff out in LA. I went to an award show, and yeah, that's the once something like that gets rolling, it's like first thing in the morning, and then everybody wants to go until the next morning, and I'm not
Yeah,
built for
yeah,
that anymore.
yeah. I got home like at probably 1 a.m. So yeah,
So I kind of want to start a little more personal. So I know you've been in a lot of different shows, and I picked Bella and Snowfall as the two bookends because they're very, very opposite. One's more for kids, it's very lighthearted, and then one's like it's the gangster world.
yeah.
What? How are you able to, and what about you allows you to walk in between all these worlds? Because Shazam is like directly in the middle of these.
That's a great question. I would say, something I always try to aspire to be, um, is diverse. I've played anything from Samoan to partly Middle Eastern and just different things like that. It just, you know, but I would say with Bell and the Bulldogs, that was when I was 15, so it was a minute ago, but I didn't know anything about football until they taught me and I learned it in like 2 days. And from 2 days I ended up being a pretty decent center. The coach that was there, he was actually, I believe, an NFL coach, and he gave me like the speed training.
Right.
And he said I was actually one of the better centers that he's experienced from like movie sets and stuff. I was like, oh wow, thank you. And then he's trying to convince me to play football. My mom was like, nope, he's an actor, can't mess up his face. um and yeah, so I would say the transitions between roles like Bell and the Bulldogs and Snowfall or Coyote, I would say for sure. It takes a lot of maturity and growing and being in tap with your emotions, and I feel like that's happened over time. I've added more tools to my utility, and one of them is being in tap with my emotions and being able to control them and allow myself to be sensitive and vulnerable and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's hard to do, man. Like it's especially, I'm in my 30s, so I grew up in a time where you're like, don't cry and
Yeah.
don't show emotion. So has that adjustment been something that's been difficult for you? I know you're in your early 20s, like 22.
Yeah, around
So
that
is that something that's been kind of hard? 'Cause I know you started, your career at
time.
8 years old, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's been over 14 years now. With being in touch with myself and sensitivity wise, all that, it did come with time, because as a kid, you don't really know what are your emotions. You're just kind of freely doing what you're doing, and it's just natural to be, sensitive and express. Now when you get older and social media gets involved and your peers and stuff, people you meet, people influence you and stuff, that starts to create insecurities and starts to create and mold kind of these boundaries you set up or these walls you put up to defend your sensitive side or your heart, you know. So I would say being able to take your walls down to just be in the moment and express is one of the best things to do. And you know, uh as a man, I feel like you should be in touch with your emotions. You should know how to control them. You should allow them to happen, because otherwise you're gonna ball that up and then explode with a burst of emotion. Why do that and why go through that stress when you can just work it out and just be in the moment,
For sure. Wise words, man. Like at a young age. And how does it feel like? I'm sure at this point in your life you have a lot of young people looking up to you because uh, you're in a unique position. I mean, you started young, you're still going, and we see whether or not we see child stars or not, it's still like a unique position you're in, and getting to live this dream every day. So, what has it been like to be kind of a role model unexpectedly?
Excuse me. Yeah, I like they said unexpectedly because that's what I was gonna gonna get to. Yeah, I don't plan to be. That's not my intention to be a role model. But if that's how the cards have fallen, then so be it. I will try my best. But I do aim to motivate and inspire and help people achieve their dreams and believe in themselves. That's one thing that I struggled with as a kid, and that sometimes I struggle with today. So it's like if I deal with it, then that means a good majority of other people do as well. Um, so so yeah, I mean, I think that with time though, you kind of mature and you grow into these things and stuff.
For sure, for sure. So now you're in this superhero world.
Yeah.
You're playing Pedro in the first Shazam. He's kind of shy. He's calm. He's kind of off in the cut, and then eventually, he has to burst out of that shell. Are we going to see more of that in Fury of the Gods?
Yeah. I liked to say that he was kind of like an oyster or like a clam or like a nutshell, and he was just kind of hidden, but there's a raw and cool person on the inside that just doesn't know how to express himself or doesn't feel comfortable enough or love himself or love people or feel loved rather enough to be able to be who he wants to be and do what he wants to do. So with this movie, he definitely takes a transition. He falls in love with baseball, so that's always dope. I love baseball. And yeah, so he just takes a big transition. He becomes in touch with himself and expresses himself and makes his own decisions now. And yeah, it's a cool thing to see, this character that I've come to love and understand, um, become his own person.
Is is there other like any kind of mirrors between you and Pedro? Are you
Yeah.
similar, or the things that you had to bring into that character to make him who he is?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, excuse me. I definitely can, and this might be a little touchy subject, I guess, for some people. Um, but I personally know what it's like to feel abandoned, to feel abandonment. I was raised by two mothers, my grandmother and my mom. So my father was not in the picture. I have a sense of abandonment, so I can relate to some of the hardship that a foster kid might go through in terms of wanting answers, maybe never getting them, and all kinds of things like that. So that I could relate to, especially with the shyness too, because I used to be very shy. Some people don't believe me when I say that, but I used to be to the point where I couldn't even say anything. If you said something to me, like I would answer very shortly and just kind of like either turn around or like hide. And I used to fidget a lot, and that's something that he did a little bit in the first one, and yeah, and I wasn't very popular in school at the beginning, not until high school where I stopped kind of giving a poop. And I just turned into a different person, and then people started to like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. He's a dope guy. Like, let me go talk to him. And then I'm just like, no, dude, I don't want to make friends. I'm here to just get this over with. So, um, so yeah, I would say he's definitely relatable for me, and I hope for the audience as well.
No, I definitely think that like even myself, I can see myself in Pedro because I was always like the bigger kid, and I was kind of like reserved. I didn't want to talk, and you
Yeah.
know now I do this thing every day to where I won't shut up. It takes a
Now
minute.
you talk. Now you talk for a long time.
Um, But no, so how has it been now that like I mean it's almost every kid's dream to be a superhero. Whether it's looking up to an actual superhero that we see in the comics, or if it's a cop, if it's a firefighter, what's it like to kind of live out a hero dream?
Um, it's very surreal, you know. It's a crazy experience. I don't think that this is normal. This is definitely
Right.
a higher level of beyond normalcy. Um, but you know, I've been a fan of Shazam. I've been a fan of DC in general. Um, Fun fact: when I was a kid, I wore a Superman pajama, like one piece thing, um, and I wouldn't take it off. I left it on for 3 months straight. My mom had to literally peel it off me while I was asleep so that she could wash it because you know, 3 months is a little excessive. But yeah, I was a huge fan of Superman. Then I grew into loving, you know, Spider-Man and stuff, and then I went over to uh The Flash, and then from there, that one kind of stuck, you know, and then I started appreciating villains and their stories and their characteristics, not necessarily, you know, their main mission, but you know, you can also appreciate a good villain, you know.
Yeah, the complex, and is that something that because I've heard there was somebody recently that I listened to, and they were talking about like why they like playing villains as well, and it is because like it's no more nuanced, it's a little more complex,
Yeah.
and so as you're
And most of
getting,
the, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I was just saying most of the time they're misunderstood too.
Yeah, yeah.
To an
Sometimes
extent. Yeah,
it's a
sometimes.
sometimes it's an anti-hero more than like or than they are a villain. So as you get older and once you're kind of in this realm, people are gonna want to see you more. Is a villain something that you would like to dive into?
Yeah, I mean one day. Sorry. Donnie says the weather here is bipolar. But yeah, I would definitely be so down to dive into the villain side of things. You know, I don't like to limit myself. I want to do comedies, I want to do dramas, I want to do all kinds of different things. I want to just explore and challenge myself the best I can. And that would definitely be a challenge and it would call for a lot from me. And I feel like you know, when the time comes, hopefully we'll do it justice, yeah. Or injustice.
And speaking of being versatile, because your career has definitely been that, but you're also doing music now, and
Yeah.
I've been listening, and I enjoy. I know you were you gone from kind of more of a um, radio friendly, like I make sure it's all polished and everybody can get with it to being like what, I'm a little older. I'm gonna add some edge to my music. What's that journey been like?
It's been a balance, man. It's been you know, a little interesting because you know I've fallen in love with music, but I've come to not love the business side.
Yeah.
So I hope to one day be able to just be a creative and just go in there, record, and then the song will be out like in a month or something, you know. But it's definitely a balance, simply because you know with music and stuff and acting, they kind of go hand in hand to an extent. I mean, look at 50 Cent, LL Cool J, Eddie Murphy. So, like, it's cool to be able to do both worlds, and I love music. It's been a part of my life forever. I used to play a lot of instruments like the violin, piano, drum, stuff like that. Um, but the transition from my earlier music to now, my thing has always been like with music today and music even back then, like, you know, music in the 90s, when they would curse, it would have meaning behind it. It would be a reason behind it. It would
Yeah.
have more impact. It'd punch better. Now it's just like after back to back, it's like it loses the value of the message and it becomes a nuisance because it's happening like every bar. Every bar is the F word, F, or the, you know, other words. So it's like, oh, dog, can you not do something else? Like, can you switch it up, be a little more creative, have a little bit of lyricism? So yeah, you know, I like to listen to people like Big Pun and Black Thought and just like different things like that. You know, like Super Lyrical is one of my favorite songs right now. That one's super fun to get into and dissect. Um, with my sound personally, I want to balance, yeah, some of it'll be very clean and some of it will be a little more, I guess, raunchy or explicit. And even if I do explicit music, I want it to have a meaning why I'm saying such words and have it tie in and make sense, not just be like, well, he could have said something else. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I was trying to like pinpoint what your sound is because it's like you have like you can do the fast flow, you got kind of the suave, like it's funny you said Big Pun because you had like that suave, like same feel. I don't know. I have to think about it. I can't put a pin on it yet, but I mess
Yeah.
with it. I really like that Naughty song. And do you have
Yeah.
anything new that's about to drop?
Yeah, so as you know, I haven't dropped in 2 years. My fans have been waiting, they've been bugging me, and I've been making them wait, but definitely gonna be dropping a song this month. I believe the 21st. We had some issues with the distributor, but we're working it out, and yeah, it'll be out the 21st.
Nice, nice. Um, and where's that? So when it comes to the acting side and the music side, like, is there one that you like kind of want to lean more towards, like in the future, or you still want to like balance both?
I'd say I still want to balance both, and I feel like I can. Uh, that's one thing too. Is there's never, I mean, to my knowledge, at least, there's never been an actor that transitioned over to music. It's always like a musician trans over to acting.
Yeah,
So, I feel like even with both sides of it, there's challenges because for whatever reason, rappers don't like actors and actors don't like rappers. So it's like that's a whole like stigma or like beef, and it's like what? So, um, having to work through things like that and people saying like, how can you be a full-time actor if you're doing rap music? Or how can you be a full-time rapper if you're doing acting? And it's like, what? Dog, there's hiatuses. And
yeah,
there's times where I'm not working or I'm still auditioning and I'm at home or I'm doing other things that, I'm readily available to be creative and I don't want to waste my time. I'm 22, not to say that I'm like getting old or something, but um
time moves fast. It moves
time
fast.
does move fast, man, and your prime is definitely a thing that you got to take advantage of. So just working it up and yeah, I take a lot of inspiration from 50 and LL Cool J and Eddie Murphy and people like that. So
Yeah, it's hard for people to see everybody else as more than one thing. Once you do that one thing, they're like, "No, you're an actor." You're like, "No, I do. I'm a person also, and I'm a son, and I do other things." So it's I people are just the ones that get it.
yeah, that's true.
um, so without giving any kind of spoilers for Fury of the Gods, is there a specific scene or like I shouldn't say scene, a time where it's like your time to shine that we should look out for this sequence you're in?
Um, well, there's a scene in a bedroom that I'd say is pretty vital. That's probably as much as I can say.
Okay.
Um, you know, there's definitely like some stunts that I had to do in this movie, and then as much as the stakes are raised in the trailer and the storyline, the stakes are raised in real life. They, they had wood chips on a leaf blower with a little bit of gunpowder, just a splash, and it's like what? We got like two takes of it too, and they're like, you have to clear or the wood chips might chip your face, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And you have to pull out splinters because I'm not doing that. But yeah, so I would say like probably that bedroom scene. That was pretty fun. I mean, we all had a blast. Like I'm sure you'll see it in the DVD with the behind the scenes. Like we were all just giggling and having fun and all that. Yeah. So,
All right, all right. Okay, so I like to kind of end things with a kind of a fun question. But I mean, really, they're all fun questions, but a little
yeah,
lighthearted
have fun.
question. So if you were a superhero and you had a theme song, who would you want to record that theme song?
Oh, dang, that's crazy. Uh, probably Daddy Yankee.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that'd be pretty sick,
oh
you
yeah,
know?
he can get you hype.
Yeah, you know, because he knows how to get the crowd hype. He's really good at
Yeah,
that. And he's tapping into that Spanglish market, so it'd be perfect.
yeah, yeah. So where can everybody find you on social media?
Yeah, you guys can check me out on Instagram. It's Jovan Armand official. That's JOVANARMAND official. And everything else, TikTok, Twitter, and Clubhouse is Jovan Armand.
And everybody make sure you check out Shazam Fury of the Gods coming out this Friday, March 17th. And Jovan, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you had a long night last night, but
Yeah.
glad you showed up for me.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time, and I hope to be back the next time.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
All right, brother. You have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
man.
Appreciate you.